Hey, Rock. The guys at You versus Me thought it might be a good idea, add a little chemistry to the show if, kind of knew what I was talking about a little more. Maybe we could do a little bonding together. And, since basically we talk about Star Wars The Old Republic, maybe you can, log on and play with me a little bit. What do you think?
Really? Me?
Well, let's just go ahead and, log in. And, I'm already in the game. Just tell me where you are.
I'm not really sure.
You don't know where you are. Okay. Well, just show me what you have on your screen, and I'll get you to me. Oh, what is that? That's awful. What's wrong with you? I got a good idea. Let's just do the show, and maybe we'll work on that later. Once again, you have found the cult of Crasus, coming to you from the galaxy far, far away, entertaining you with Star Wars news and anecdotes and really anything that I can possibly come up with. As always, I am joined by my producer, engineer, and sometimes broadcast co-host, Hammer Rockwell. Hammer, once again, please say something charming to the people.
I don't get it. I've been paying a monthly subscription for 2 years.
On today's show, I would like to talk about something extremely important, especially this time of year, to all the people in America, and that is your choice. Does your choice actually matter? And no, I'm not really talking about politics. That's going to be covered in different shows by different people. I'm just talking about in Star Wars, the Old Republic, MMOs, and video games in general. Now, this is going to be a show basically that's going to cover your choice, as Star Wars The Old Republic has had this emphasis on story. They have came out, they have talked about how your choices matter, about how your decisions can actually affect how your game will be played. The question, of course, is, does your choices actually matter? I mean, we have got the first 9 chapters in the book. As you actually go through, spoilers, the dream sequence and your carbonite dream, and how you actually get out the carbonite, and you're saved by some of your old allies and some new allies. You get to make decisions that supposedly affect how your story goes, and that's irrefutable. They can actually change that. However, ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, does it actually matter? BioWare says that it actually matters, but does it actually change the game? Now, in other games, single-player games, it's easy to do this. Your decisions can matter, and then sometimes they don't matter. I mean, in Knights of the Old Republic, you can make a lot of decisions and a lot of choices all throughout the game, and the only difference is it really just determines what companions that you have come along with you in the game. And at the end, basically, you have 2 endings, a good guy ending and a bad guy ending. Alright? And for a long time, games like Fable, pretty much you can make any decision you want, and at the end, you have, a decision to make, and that's how your game ends. Is BioWare going to do this in the single player area of the game? I mean, the other thing you have to realize is this is an MMO. So when you're outside of the story, you're on the fleet, you're grouping up with people, you're doing group content. At least hopefully you're doing group content. I know BioWare is trying to suck the group content out as much as possible. However, it's still an MMO, and you're still doing some group content. So the people that you meet on the fleet, they don't really know what choices you make unless you talk to them, you're in TeamSpeak or Mumble or whatever. So ultimately, does it matter? Does it actually change anything? Now, I used to play the World of Warcraft, and during Wrath of the Lich King, there were a couple of chains that were very interesting. One in particular actually changed some aesthetics of the game, and at the time I thought it was awesome. Okay, so as you're leveling up and as you're playing through Wrath of the Lich King, you see the Undercity as one particular entity. There's basically a story arc that occurs, and after that you have this big event where basically you have to take back the Undercity. And once you do that, the Undercity for your character is changed. Basically, the guards are different. When you go in and see Sylvanas, the people in the throne room are different. And at the time, I thought it was really, really cool, because when you play on an alt that hasn't done it yet, you don't see those changes. And if you did the Wrath event, those changes are for you, and you get to see them every time you go to the Undercity. However, ultimately, what did it change? It doesn't matter. I mean, aesthetically, there's a few things that actually changed, and you're like, oh, this is neat, this is great. But it still ended the way it ended, no matter what. There's nothing that you could do to make that any different. So is there anything that you can do in Star Wars The Old Republic to make it different for you or for everyone? And in my forecast, there's not. You know, it's not going to happen at all. Now, you know, Rock, go ahead and chime in. Has there ever been maybe a decision or a few choices that you have been able to make, maybe in life or whatever, that ended up not really mattering that much?
Let me think about it.
Should I get the steak and bean burrito or the chicken and bean burrito?
No, I still got diarrhea either way.
Oh, wow. You probably shouldn't share a lot of that information, and you may want to seek the help of a professional. But anyway, how it actually affects and changes your game is nil, is void, is none. I don't believe that Star Wars The Old Republic has the resources nor the bravado to actually make a wholesale change to really shake up what it has right now. And like one of those choices would be is, as you make choices and you go on, could it split off into a third faction, and everyone who made these choices are now part of that faction and have to accept those consequences. They're no longer able to be on the Republic fleet or the Empire fleet. That's not going to happen. It's just not. The game population's not there in order to support that. So ultimately, all the things that you do in story are basically RPs, almost like RPs in your head, which a lot of players, you know, kind of did that anyway. You always have your own little idea of your character and your character's goals and what they do, and that's great. But that was there before. I mean, just by doing the storyline that existed and having multiple choices with that, and even doing the little side stories and having multiple choices with that, it already existed. So what you're doing now is basically deciding what companions we're going to have, deciding and looking at the actual storylines of the companions that are coming back to us, and that's it. I mean, so basically it seems like we're going to end up with one ending no matter what we choose, and a cavalcade of companions that don't really matter. I mean, look guys, I don't know anyone who's going to get 15 companions and get their influence all the way to 50. You're going to pick your favorite companions, and that's going to be it. That's it. So BioWare will never have a split off faction, period. Okay? I mean, in the end, the ending is still going to be the same for everyone. And then there's going to be another expansion, and then we're going to go with the same thing. So let's get back to group content. I mean, can we get back to, you know, an interesting storyline and finding ways to actually promote group content in order to do operations and PvP and all kinds of other things? I mean, that's really the heart of the MMO. That's really how the story should actually unfold. If we really wanted to make decisions that count, we would all simply play single player games. I mean, the game is still an MMO. There aren't enough resources to completely change this for everyone. So why continue on with basically this farce, this illusion of choice? Well, they're actually already on that path, and so they have to follow it all the way through now. I mean, anyone who plays this game, we've already seen a reduction of people from the initial expansion, right? So they came in, the story lovers did the stories, and now we're all back to doing what we were doing before. People are running the same ops that they've ran for 3 and 4 years. PvPers are still running the same PvP maps that they ran since launch, and the few extra. Now, with that said, let's think of a couple of different things. There are a couple of good things that actually have occurred by the storylines and doing the storylines, and that is things like the Star Fortress. The Star Fortress is a new way to actually force people to do old heroics, and they've actually rewarded them right. And it is a way to basically have your own personal progression. It's something for you to do when you don't raid, when you don't PvP, when you just want to get on and play the game. And you can invite people along, and that's cool, but it's something for you to do when you're not doing ops, when you're not PvPing. And I think that is your win. That's your focus. Basically, they're dailies. They take up the same the same function as dailies, to give you money, to give you something to do, to give you a personal progression model on downtime. And it's new. It really is new. I mean, WoW tried to come up with a new way to actually do dailies, which is fill up a bar full of murder. I mean, you just kill things until you stop. And by and large, the Star Fortresses are not that. I mean, they can be difficult. You actually have to focus. There are different achievements and rewards that you can get by doing different things, and that is what you should focus on. That is your win. Have you a storyline. Let it culminate with operations. Let that be the coup d'etat. Also, in the future, when you have an expansion, find some way to do some kind of PvP map that supports the actual overall storyline, a competition for resources, things like that. And that's important. You have to keep the PvPers happy, but do that. But by and large, don't feed us this illusion that choice matters and the game is going to completely change just because of the decisions you make. So what do you think, Hammer? Was that a good show? Is that one for the ages?
Maybe I shouldn't have said anything about the diarrhea.
Once again, everybody, this is Crasus. Thank you for enjoying the Cult of Crasus. Please make sure you hit me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you. Hopefully we will be producing and providing more content in the future. And as far as Star Wars The Old Republic goes, I'll see you out there.